Hello, today we will thoroughly explore the process of creating a composite frame. We'll examine different portraits set within it and delve into the various settings that influence its appearance. To begin, select the Composite Frame button to create your frame. You will then observe a newly created empty composite frame. When you select a composite frame, a variety of expandable sections appear on the left side of your screen. Let's start by clicking on Main Settings to expand this section. Here, you can assign a name to your composite frame. This feature becomes particularly handy for creating complex composites with relationships between different frames. Next is the Composite Frame query, which allows you to specify what you wish to display. In this tutorial, we aim to showcase all the students. To do this, select Department, then Students, and finally, All. If you enable adaptive text sizing, it will automatically adjust the text size for students with longer names, fitting them into the portrait and saving you the effort of manual adjustments. Lastly, the Exclude Portrait from Composite option is beneficial when creating memory mates. However, we will not be covering this feature in this video. Now let's click Grid Settings. In this section, you have the ability to manually adjust the number of columns and rows for your desired composite. Simply interact with the slider to modify the values or click on the numerical value to input a specific number directly, ensuring faster efficiency. The Maximize Portraits button is a useful tool for allowing the software to determine the optimal number of rows and columns, taking into account the aspect ratio of your composite. Auto Cell Spacing is another convenient feature, as it lets the software automatically calculate the spacing for you. However, you still have the option to manually adjust the spacing to achieve a very specific visual effect. Perhaps the most critical option in this section is the Adaptive Grid Adjustment. This feature plays a key role in shaping how the grid will adapt itself in response to occlusion and knockout. Select the No Adaptive Grid Adjustment. Every adjustment under grid settings, like changing the number of columns to 11. For instance, if you make this change and the composite frame turns red, indicating that 7 portraits can't be displayed, you need to fix it manually. To reset everything back, you can click on Maximize Portraits. Let's add an image. If the image overlaps, but you want the portraits to be hidden, you would set the Occlusion option on. Since we're in manual mode, the composite frame will turn red, signaling that you need to manually adjust the number of rows and columns to display all portraits. Now, remove the image and turn on the Adjust the Number of Rows option. This makes everything fully automatic. Memento Composite will adjust the number of rows as needed to fit all portraits in the composite frame area. Add the image again and turn on Occlusion. You'll see the rows adjust automatically, ensuring all portraits are visible. This adjustment occurs regardless of whether the image is enlarged or reduced. Let's delete the image again and switch to the Only Add Rows If Needed option. This setting only adds rows automatically when it's impossible to display all portraits, which might leave some space at the bottom. It's useful for composites with a lot of portrait variety. Add the image once more and enable occlusion. You'll notice the rows adjust to display all portraits. If you enlarge the image, the adjustment stays the same. But if you make the image smaller, the number of rows will not change. Let's go ahead and remove the image, then click on Grid Alignment. This feature allows you to determine the alignment of your portraits within the composite frame. For instance, we can align the portraits to the left and the last row right. Next, let's proceed to the Portrait Template section by clicking on it. A standout feature of Memento Composite is its capability to customize portrait appearances to align perfectly with your branding. This feature enables your studio to significantly stand out by creating visually striking portraits that can easily match the branding of sports leagues or schools. For demonstration purposes, we offer a few templates, such as Instapics, Silver 4x6, and Trading Card, among others. By selecting Edit Portrait Template, you have the opportunity to create and customize your own templates. However, editing a template is a topic covered in another video dedicated to that feature. Returning to the Portrait Template section, there's also an option to select a specific default sample image for design purposes while working on your project. The following section is Feature Frames. This feature is typically used when arranging a class, where you want the teacher's portrait to be featured first and usually twice the size of the regular student portraits. More details on this feature can be found in another video. Now let's move on to the knockouts section. But before we do that, ensure that Adjust the number of rows is selected under Grid Settings. To explore this section, click on Knockouts to expand it, and then choose Add Remove Knockouts to enter the knockout mode. In this mode, I will be knocking out certain portraits to create a specific visual layout that I have in mind. If you wish to remove all knockouts, simply click on the Clear Knockouts button. The final section, Export File Name, is explained in our documentation and not covered in this video.